and welcome to or back to the Yoga Corner. I'm Kira and today I'm going to be guiding you through the first of my 5-day fundamentals of yoga classes. This class is going to be all about connecting to your breath because breath really is at the center of every single yoga practice. But I know from personal experience that when you start getting into more dynamic, fast moving or just longer classes, it can be really easy to be focused on the mechanics of the movement and of the alignment and all of the other things that you have to focus on when moving your body into some quite complicated positions, or even some of the simpler positions when you start moving just on autopilot and moving through postures that you feel really comfortable with. It can be really easy to just totally forget that breath is meant to be guiding each and every one of those movements. And although that might seem like a little bit of a silly concept because breath is something that we all do literally every second of every day, breath has so much power to really help us to achieve better posture and better intensity in all of our poses. You know, with each breath we can find a little bit more space, a little bit more expansion, or in other poses we might be able to use our exhales to find that little bit more depth and relaxation and softening into a pose. So we find that connection with our breath as we will in today's class. We can then take that into our other classes and find ourselves enjoying our practice more and getting just that little bit extra from every single yoga practice. So with that in mind, today's class is going to be fairly slow paced and we really are just going to be taking the time to connect with our breath. So if you're ready, we'll get started in a seated meditation. I'm in a cross-legged position, but if that doesn't feel comfortable to you, then feel free to find any other seated position that you feel really comfortable in. The main focus we want here is to have a nice tall spine so that we can really notice the breath moving through the body. And once you've found that seated position, just give yourself a second to wiggle around, really get comfy on the mat. Find yourself without any more need to move or fidget. I know I'm definitely a fidgeter, but just try and find as much stillness as you can. And then just allow the eyes to soften and close. Hands can rest on the knees or in the lap, really wherever you feel most comfortable. And we'll just take a couple of moments just to allow everything to settle down. Notice whether your mind is busy, whether you're focusing on something else outside of this practice, outside of your mat, outside of your breath, and just see whether you can put that to one side. In yoga, we don't need to forget all about everything else that's going on, but it can be nice to just take the 10, 15, 20 minutes that you're going to be on the mat and just use that to put other things to one side and give yourself time just to focus on you, your breath and movement. And know that we can just pick that all back up again afterwards with a little bit more peace and clarity to look at what we're thinking about. So allow all of those thoughts just to go off to one side, and then together we'll take a nice deep breath in through the nose. And we'll sigh it out through the mouth. Really let the breath go. We'll do 2 more just like that. Inhaling through the nose. Exhaling through the mouth. 1 more time. Nice big deep breath in. Full exhale through the mouth. Really good. You can keep the eyes closed if you like, or you can gently blink them open, whatever makes it easier for you to focus on the breath. And I now want you to really allow your attention to focus on wherever you feel the breath most obviously. So we're going to be inhaling and exhaling through the nose from here on out. So allow the breath to travel in through the nose. Hold on to it for a second, allow that breath to travel through the body, and exhale through the nose, letting it all go. With your next inhale, just see where you can notice that breath traveling. Do you feel that most in the nostrils as you can feel the air running through the body? Can you feel it traveling down the throat? Or perhaps as the chest and the stomach expand, that's where you feel the breath most. Use that as your anchor and the place that you come back to throughout your yoga practice. Whenever your teacher, whether that's me or anyone else, reminds you to think of the breath, you can allow your attention to return back to that place in your body where you feel the breath most clearly. We'll take 1 more deep breath before starting to incorporate some movement. Inhaling through the nose. And exhaling through the nose. With our next inhale, we're just gently going to float the fingertips up to the sky, thinking of our inhale as an opportunity to expand and find space. As we exhale, we're going to rain the fingertips back down to the mat beside the body, releasing with our exhale. Inhale to float the fingertips up to the sky, expanding through the chest. Exhale, floating down, releasing everything. One more time, we inhale to reach the fingertips up. Feel that stretch through the side body, through the chest, all the way up the spine. Exhale, we float down, finding softness as we release that stretch. Really nice. With our next inhale, we're going to bring the arms to a cactus shape. So bending through the elbows, we can spread the fingertips nice and wide and open through the chest. We'll take a nice big deep breath in here, and as we do, we can expand that chest a little bit further, thinking of our inhale and our chest as an expanding balloon. As we exhale, we release that balloon, bringing the forearms to touch as we round through the spine. Inhale, we find expansion, opening up nice and wide. And exhale, winding back down, forearms to touch. One more time. Inhale, opening the chest. See if you can allow a little bit more air to enter the body as you expand that chest just a little bit wider. And exhale, we round, allowing everything to turn in. Really nice. With our next inhale, we just come back to a nice seated position. You might like to have a little wiggle around, releasing through the shoulders, maybe rolling forwards and then backwards, whatever feels best to you. Just allow everything to soften. With our next inhale, left hand is going to plant next to your left leg and your right arm is going to reach up to the sky. Inhaling to bring the arm up and overhead. Think about allowing the chest to open up to the sky and maybe you gaze just past that right elbow, opening everything up. We'll take another deep breath in here. Exhale, we bring that right arm back down to the ground. We're going to find a little flow here as that right hand touches down. Our next inhale brings the left hand up to the sky, opening the chest, gazing past that left arm as we find space in the front of the body. Inhale. Exhale, left hand floats down. As it touches, we reach that right hand straight up and over with a big deep breath in. Exhale, straight back down, right hand comes to the ground. Left hand, inhale, we reach it up and overhead. We'll do that once more on each side. We exhale to release that left hand. Inhale, bring the right arm up and over. Exhale, right hand comes down for the last time. Final inhale, we bring that nice deep breath in as the left arm reaches over. And exhale, release everything. Take a moment there just to take one big deep breath in. Exhale, however feels best for you as we settle and then recenter the body. And then we're going to be finding a tabletop position, which for anyone that doesn't know is just hands and knees. So roll over, taking your time to get to your mat. And when we find our tabletop, we just want to take a moment to align the body, looking down and making sure that the shoulders are aligned just over the wrists and that the knees are right underneath the hips. We want to spread the fingertips nice and wide, thinking about them as little starfish, taking up as much space as they can, giving us a really nice, long, stable base. And then we're going to find our cat and cows. They are my favorite way to reconnect with the breath in my yoga practice because it just feels so intuitive to move this way. So with your next inhale, you drop the belly slightly, lift the tailbone and lift the chest, opening everything up. As you exhale, you round the opposite way. Chin comes to the chest and you arch the spine, finding a nice sense of release. Inhale, dropping the belly, lifting the chest, opening up. And exhale to round, chin to chest. Take that a few more times at your own pace, allowing yourself just to sit with the silence and connect with your breath, allowing your movements and your breath to match up. Take one more round of cat and cows. Nice big deep inhale. Finding that space. And a nice long exhale. Once you've taken that last exhale, just gently come to a neutral spine. We're going to be relaxing into our child's pose position. So for this, you're going to want to bring your big toes together and allow your knees to come wide, thinking about making them as wide as the mat, although if that's not quite comfortable for you, then just bring them as wide as you feel comfortable to do. Once you've brought the big toes together and the knees as wide as you want, you're going to sink the hips back towards the heels, like you're sitting back on the feet. And then finally, you're going to walk the hands forward and melt the chest down to the ground. You're aiming to bring the forehead onto the mat. But if that's not comfortable or that feels like a bit too much of a stretch for you, you can then use the hands, instead of stretching them out, to make a little pillow for the head and rest the forehead on the hands. Allow yourself to take a moment to notice how this child's pose feels for you. You'll often hear child's pose referred to as a resting posture in classes, but if you've got tight hips or maybe tight shoulders, it can feel like a bit of a challenge to sit in this pose for longer than a couple of breaths. So we're going to be focusing on how we can use the breath to sit through discomfort. Notice how the body feels. Maybe you're like me sometimes if you're tight in your hips, not allowing them to settle completely and you're holding them up so that you don't have to embrace the stretch. So with each exhale, notice that and see if you can allow them to just sink a little bit lower. Inhaling to think about reaching the arms forward, or if you've got the hands under the head, just inhaling to think about allowing that breath to expand the body. And then exhaling to soften everything, the shoulders, the hips, the stomach, really allowing everything to soften down. We'll take 3 more breaths in child's pose. Notice how it feels in your body. Use the breath to your advantage, but also remind yourself that like each breath, this posture is temporary and we'll be out of it just as soon as we were in. Take 1 more big deep breath. Exhale to release through those hips 1 final time. And with your next inhale, we're coming back through to our tabletop position. And then gently making our way back to the seated position that we started our practice in. Again, reminding yourself that that can be whichever seated position feels best for you. I'm going to close the eyes once more. Think about sitting up nice and tall. Imagine that the spine is a nice long tube that you want the breath to travel through. So the more that you sit up tall, the easier it is for that breath to travel up and down that nice channel of energy. Just as we started our practice, we're going to take 3 big releasing breaths together. So with an inhale, we take that air through the body, expanding as much as we can through the nose. Holding the breath at the top and exhaling to sigh through the mouth. Inhaling through the nose. Exhaling through the mouth. One more time. Nice big deep breath in together through the nose. And exhale through the mouth. Gently allowing the eyes to blink open, we'll bring the hands together at the heart center. Just take a moment in gratitude for yourself. Perhaps this was your first step on your yoga journey, or perhaps you've allowed yourself to take a step back to what is the really most fundamental part of your yoga practice, the breath. I hope you'll be able to take away from this a little bit more connection with your breath that you can use wherever you fancy, whether that is on or off the mat. I hope to see you in another class very soon, but thank you for choosing to practice with me today. Namaste.